My husband died 5 years ago. At least, that's what everyone told me. Every single month since his death, I sent $200 to his parents. No excuses, no delays. I paid like clockwork. They said it was to repay a debt. The widow. My name is Ariana Cole. I'm 32 years old, a widow, and the mother of a 9-year-old boy named Ethan. On the 5th of every month, I drove to the same crumbling apartment building in South Chicago, a brick monster over 70 years old, rotting slowly along with the people trapped inside it. That day was no different. I parked my old maroon sedan in the same faded spot it had occupied for years. The engine ticked as it cooled. I sat for a moment, staring at the building like it was a judge waiting to sentence me again. Inside my purse, an envelope pressed against my palm. $200. For some people, it was pocket change. For me, it was groceries, school supplies, tutoring for Ethan, and basketball fees. 5 years ago, my husband, Daniel Cole, had taken $12,000 from his parents, every cent of their retirement savings, to go work oil fields in North Dakota. He never came back. The blame. The day Daniel died, his mother pointed a shaking finger at me. "If you hadn't pushed him to go, he'd still be alive." Then she told me the debt was now my responsibility. $200 a month, 5 years, no mercy. I accepted, not because I agreed, but because I wanted peace for my son, for what little family we had left. The climb. 5 floors, no elevator. Each step felt heavier than the last. The stairwell smelled of damp plaster and old drains. On the first floor, the janitor's radio blasted gospel music. On the second, burnt beans from a shared kitchen. On the third, a couple fought loudly over unpaid bills. By the 4th floor, silence swallowed everything. The 5th floor, where my in-laws lived, felt dead. Apartment 504. I wiped sweat from my temples and knocked. Once, twice, 3 sharp knocks. Nothing. I knocked again. "Mom, it's Ariana." After nearly a minute, slippers shuffled inside. The deadbolt slid back with a dry crack. The door opened just a few inches. The mother-in-law. Margaret Cole stared at me through the chain lock. She was barely in her early 60s, but looked decades older. Sunken eyes, gray skin, constant suspicion etched into her face. "Yes?" she asked flatly. "I brought this month's money." She opened the door only enough to slide out one bony hand. I passed the envelope through. She snatched it instantly and shoved it into a robe pocket without counting. "Is Ethan fine?" she asked, not meeting my eyes. "He's doing great," I said softly. "He keeps asking about his grandparents. Maybe this weekend I could bring him?" "No," she snapped. "Your father's leg is bad. I have headaches. A child is too much noise." The excuse was always different. The result was always the same. In 5 years, Ethan had been inside that apartment 4 times, and each visit lasted no more than 15 minutes. "All right," I whispered. "Go," she said. "You'll catch cold standing there." The door slammed shut. The deadbolt clicked. The silence. I stood frozen in the hallway. No invitation, no glass of water, no warmth. I pressed my ear to the metal door. Nothing. No TV, no voices, no sound of life. It felt less like an apartment and more like a tomb. As I turned to leave, a chill crawled down my spine. I didn't know that at that exact moment, someone was watching me behind cracked blinds, and those eyes were not the eyes of an old man. I didn't realize how tightly I'd been holding my breath until I stepped outside. The courtyard felt like another world. Children were shouting over a basketball game. Women sat on benches, snapping beans, laughing, gossiping. The late afternoon sun spilled across cracked concrete like nothing in the world was wrong. I headed toward my car, eager to pick up Ethan and forget the fifth floor ever existed. That's when a hand grabbed my wrist. "Ariana, baby, is that you?" I jumped. It was Mrs. Lillian Brooks. Everyone called her Miss Lil. She used to be the president of the Tenant Association years ago. Even in retirement, she carried herself like she still ran the building. She sat on a stone bench, fanning herself with cardboard, eyes sharp and alert. "Yes, Miss Lil," I said, forcing a polite smile. "Enjoying the breeze?" She didn't smile back. Instead, she pulled me down beside her and leaned in so close I could smell peppermint on her breath. "You went up there again, didn't you?" she whispered. My stomach tightened. "Up where?" I said. "To pay those two," she said. "Your in-laws." I nodded slowly. Today was payment day. Miss Lil clicked her tongue and shook her head, pity and fear mixing on her face. "Lord have mercy, working yourself to death for people who don't deserve it." Then she gripped my arm, hard. "Next month," she said, her voice dropping to almost nothing, "don't give them a single cent." The words that froze my blood. I frowned. "Why would you say that? I only have 2 payments left. The money Daniel borrowed." She squeezed tighter. "Child," she said slowly, "around here they say the dead ain't always dead." My skin prickled. "What?" I laughed nervously. "My husband died 5 years ago. We have the certificate. We buried his ashes." She waved her hand sharply. "I ain't talking about ghosts." Her eyes locked onto mine. "I'm talking about living, breathing people." A cold wave rolled through me. Miss Lil leaned closer. "You ever notice how that apartment's quiet as a church all day, but around 1 or 2 in the morning there's movement?" My heart began to pound. "One night," she continued, "I couldn't sleep, went out on my balcony to smoke, and I saw a man climbing up to the 5th floor. My mouth dried. "The way he walked," she whispered, "it looked real familiar." The limp. I swallowed. "Familiar how?" She didn't blink. "It dragged his left foot, shoulder dropped when he put weight on it." My chest tightened painfully. "That's how Daniel walked after that motorcycle accident." I shook my head. "That's impossible. He died in North Dakota." Miss Lil's gaze sharpened. "I saw him take out a key and open that door like it was his own home." The world tilted. "If you don't believe me," she went on, "check the security camera they installed between the 4th and 5th floor. Ask someone who knows how to get the footage." She released my arm and went back to fanning herself like she hadn't just shattered my reality. I stood there, legs trembling, unable to move. The drive home. Chicago traffic roared around me, but I heard none of it. If Daniel was alive, why let me suffer for 5 years? Why let his son grow up without him? Why bleed me dry every month? Memories began rearranging themselves in my mind. His mother's urgency, their insistence on cash, the blinds always closed, the silence. I nearly ran a red light. "Ariana?" asked Ethan softly from the back seat. "Are you okay?" I forced a smile. "Just tired, sweetheart." But inside me, something had cracked. The first step toward truth. That night, after dinner, after homework, after tucking Ethan into bed, I sat alone in the dark. I opened my budget notebook. Debt, $12,000. Paid, 58 months. Only 2 payments left. If Daniel was alive, then I wasn't paying a debt.
I was being robbed. I grabbed my phone and scrolled to a name, Lucas Reed, my cousin, a tech wizard. "Lucas," I whispered when he answered, "I need a favor." "The camera." "The building on 9th Street, I said. "Do you know anyone who manages the security cameras there?" There was a pause. "Yeah," he said slowly. "Why?" "I think I lost my wallet on the stairs between the 4th and 5th floor," I lied. "Can you get the footage?" Another pause. "For the last 3 months, between 1 and 3 in the morning." Silence. "I'll see what I can do," he finally said. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. I didn't know it yet, but the next video I would see would destroy the last piece of the man I thought I loved.
The next afternoon felt unreal. I met Lucas at a quiet coffee shop tucked between 2 closed stores, one of those places people go when they don't want to be noticed. He arrived right on time, backpack slung over one shoulder, laptop already in hand. "You look awful," he said gently as he sat down. "What's going on?" "Please," I whispered, "just show me." He didn't argue. Lucas opened his laptop, connected to the cafe's Wi-Fi, and pulled up a folder labeled stairwell_cam. "Tell me the date again?" "The 6th of last month," I said, "around 2 in the morning." He typed. The screen flickered. 01:45 a.m. The footage was grainy, black and white, silent. The camera pointed up the stairwell between the 4th and 5th floors. Empty. My heart hammered so loud I could hear it in my ears. Then, a shadow appeared. Someone was climbing the stairs. My breath caught. "Stop," I said. "Slow it down." Lucas tapped a key, frame by frame. The man wore a loose jacket, a baseball cap pulled low, a face mask covering his mouth and nose. But his walk— first step, right foot. Second, left foot dragging slightly behind. His left shoulder dipped. My vision blurred. "No," I whispered. "No, no." That limp, that exact limp. I had watched it for years after Daniel shattered his ankle in that motorcycle crash. The door. The man reached apartment 504. He didn't knock. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a ring of keys, selected one without hesitation. Click. The door opened. He slipped inside like he belonged there. The door closed quietly behind him. I slapped my mouth over my head to keep from screaming. Lucas stared at me. "Ariana, do you recognize him?" "Play the previous month," I said hoarsely. The same thing. Same time. Same man. Same limp. 3 months. 3 identical nights. Always after I paid the money. My stomach rolled violently. I've been paying him. I've been feeding him. The truth hits. Lucas copied everything onto a USB drive. "Don't tell anyone. Not a word." He nodded, eyes dark with anger. When I got home, I locked myself in my bedroom and collapsed onto the floor. The laptop replayed the footage again and again. Daniel wasn't dead. He had been watching me, letting me work myself to exhaustion, letting his son grow up without him, letting his parents bleed me dry. I stared at his smiling photo on the small shrine by my bed. The man in that picture no longer existed. A new plan. I wiped my tears and stood up. "No," I whispered, "I won't break." I opened a notebook and began writing. Step 1, prove it, it's him beyond doubt. Step 2, follow the money. Step 3, find where he's hiding. The hunter inside me had awakened, and this time, I wasn't the victim. I didn't confront them. Not yet. The next morning, I moved through life like an actress who had forgotten her lines, making breakfast, packing Ethan's lunch, kissing his forehead before school. On the outside, nothing had changed. On the inside, everything had. Every smile from the past 5 years felt like a lie replaying itself. Following the money. At work, I couldn't focus. During lunch, I texted Lucas. Me, can you check something else for me? Lucas, what now? Me, see if there's anything strange about my father-in-law's bank account, withdrawals, transfers, anything. A minute passed. Lucas, that's not easy, but I'll try indirectly. Give me time. I put my phone away. If Daniel was alive and sneaking into that apartment, then the money I paid wasn't for debt. It was for him. Going back to the building. That afternoon, I left work early and returned to the building, but this time I didn't go upstairs. I sat on a bench in the courtyard, pretending to rest. Ariana? A sharp voice called. It was Mrs. Eleanor Finch, the neighbor from the 4th floor. She loved gossip the way other people loved coffee. "Oh, hi, Mrs. Finch," I said. She sat beside me immediately. "You're such a good woman, paying your husband's debt all these years. By the way, are your in-laws doing okay?" I asked carefully. She leaned in. "Because every night I hear heavy footsteps above my ceiling, not old people footsteps, young man footsteps." My pulse jumped. "And," she added, lowering her voice, "the toilet flushes around 2 or 3 in the morning." I forced a laugh. "My father-in-law has leg pain. He walks badly." She snorted. "Leg pain, my foot. And another thing, those two complain about being broke, but lately I see your mother-in-law carrying huge black trash bags downstairs at night." My chest tightened. "Trash bags?" "I peeked once," she said. "Pizza boxes, beer cans. What kind of elderly couple eats like that?" Pizza, beer, Daniel's favorites. My hands went cold. "I asked her," Mrs. Finch continued. "She said they were offerings for her dead son." She rolled her eyes. "Who leaves that many offerings?" I thanked her and stood up, my legs trembling. The apartment wasn't just being visited. Someone was living there. The test. 2 days later, I bought an expensive foot massager, one of those heavy, ridiculous boxes you can't hide. I chose 8 p.m. As I climbed the stairs, I stopped outside apartment 504. Inside, voices. I held my breath. "Eat, eat," a woman said. "Your wife just paid again." Then, a man's voice, relaxed, confident, mocking. "She hasn't missed single months. What a fool." My blood turned to fire. That voice, I knew it better than my own. Confirmation. I knocked. Silence. "Dad, it's Ariana. I brought something for your arthritis." The door cracked open. My father-in-law blocked the entrance. "The house is messy. Give it here." "I'd like to come in," I said calmly. "I want to light a candle for Daniel." His face drained of color. From the back of the apartment, a man coughed. A deep, dry cough. Not an old woman's, not an old man's. He slammed the door. I stood there, heart pounding. I no longer needed proof. I needed justice. The phone rang the next morning. It was Lucas. "Ariana," he said, voice tight, "I found something." We met again. Same coffee shop, same corner table. He opened his laptop and turned it toward me. The bank records. "Your in-laws' pension checks arrive every month," he said. "But here's the strange part. They haven't withdrawn money in years," I finished slowly. Lucas nodded. "Not a single dollar. Their account balance just keeps growing. Tens of thousands." My stomach sank. "Then what are they living on?" I whispered. Lucas didn't hesitate. "Cash. Daniel's cash. He was supporting them while pretending they were poor so no one would question where the money came from. They weren't desperate. They were greedy." The urn. There was only one lie left to break. Daniel's death. That weekend, I told my mother-in-law I wanted to take Ethan to Daniel's hometown to place flowers. She agreed quickly. Too quickly. We left before sunrise.
The cemetery was quiet under a burning Midwest sun. Daniel's urn sat behind a glass niche, his name engraved in polished black stone. I sent Ethan to play nearby. My hands shook as I unlocked the glass. The urn was cold. Too cold. I pried the lid open. Nothing. No ashes. No bone. Only stones. I collapsed to my knees. 5 years. 5 years of mourning a handful of gravel. I recorded everything, every angle, every stone, my voice steady through tears. This urn is empty. This death was a fraud. I sealed it back exactly as it was. No one would know. Yet. The last clue. That night at a motel, I scrolled through social media. Daniel's best friend, Derek Hale. In his latest photo, Derek raised beer. On his wrist, Daniel's watch. My wedding gift. The scratch on the clasp. The final piece clicked into place. Daniel wasn't just alive. He was hiding. And I knew where to start looking.
The pieces came together fast after that. Lucas dug into Derek Hale's life with quiet precision. Phone records, location pings, old associates Daniel had once sworn he'd cut ties with. 2 days later, he called me. "Ariana," he said, "Derek works at a mechanic shop in Gary, Indiana, officially." "Officially?" I asked. "Unofficially," he continued, "it's a front, loan sharking, cash business, dirty money." My grip tightened around the phone. "And every night," Lucas added, "around 11, Derek drives to an abandoned warehouse at the edge of the industrial park, stays for about an hour." I closed my eyes. "That's where he is." Silence confirmed it. The plan. Lucas tried to talk me out of going. "You don't need to do this yourself," he warned. "These people are dangerous." "I need his voice," I said. "I need him admitting everything." In the end, Lucas agreed to help, but only if he came with me. The next night, I left Ethan with my mother and told her I had an overnight shift. At 10:30 p.m., Lucas picked me up. Dark clothes, caps, masks. He handed me a pen. "It's a recorder," he said, "high quality." Then a small device, GPS tracker, just in case. The ghost appears. We reached the industrial park just before 11. Abandoned buildings, no lights, no people. We hid behind rusted barrels near a warehouse with a half-collapsed roof. At 11:15 p.m., a motorcycle roared into view. Derek. He unloaded 2 plastic bags and kicked the metal shutter. Hard, soft, hard. The door rose. A yellow light spilled out. And then, a man stepped forward. Thinner, dirtier, bearded, but unmistakable. Daniel. My husband. Alive. I bit my lip until I tasted blood. The confession. We crept closer and listened through a crack in the wall. I turned on the recorder. "I'm almost done," Daniel said, laughing. "My wife's about to finish paying." "What about the kid?" Derek asked. "She'll manage. She always does. And your parents? They're playing their part, crying poor. Nobody suspects a thing." I felt sick. "You fake your death and let them suffer?" Derek said. "Better them than me." That was enough. The man I loved was truly dead. The one inside that warehouse was a stranger, a criminal. The fall. The next morning, I handed everything to a lawyer. By nightfall, police raided 3 locations. Daniel was arrested at the warehouse. His parents were taken in. Derek was charged as an accomplice. Justice. Daniel received 12 years in prison. His parents were forced to return every dollar. I walked out of the courthouse lighter than I had felt in years. I bought a small condo filled with sunlight. No more shadows, no more lies. Ethan took my hand one afternoon and smiled. "Mama," he said, "I got an A in math." I smiled back. The past was finally buried. This time, for real.